So I have created this test Sweetlet. What it does, it will send out an email. So we are creating a sample email form, and then it will send out an email to the recipient, which is mentioned here. What is this text file? Actually, I have this JS here. Sorry. Okay, so now what it does, we are creating a sample email form. I think the logic we saw yesterday. This is a very small Sweetlet. What we are doing, we're creating an email form. We have added 3 fields. One is that one which says subject, second is recipient email, and third is a message. And then on click of a submit button, it will send an email. So we're using email.send API, where our author or the sender is the current user. Recipient is coming from this recipient email field. Then subject is also coming from this field, and message is also coming from this field. So in the get part, I think yesterday I had a different example. Today, let's take a comparatively easier one. So what we are doing, we're creating an email form. So again, the same thing, form dot server widget dot create form, the name as email form. Then we are adding a field. First is text type field. Okay. Second is an email type field. There's a field data type called email. Then form dot add field similarly. Again, we are making this as mandatory. This is also mandatory. Then third is there's a field called message, and this is a text area field. Text area is like a free form text, but it has a bigger, the field's length is higher, so it is a bigger space. It can contain a higher number of characters. Okay, and then at the end we have form dot add submit button. We have added a submit button, and the name we have given to the submit button is called send email. And then we have added a button called clear. Okay. Now this is done with the form creation. Now what we do at the end, once you create a field and form and everything, we do context dot response dot write page. So whatever is there, whatever you write or enter on the form, we are giving this to a response. We are writing it, or we are writing. In short term, we are sending this as a response for the post part, basically. So here, when you write context.response.write page, we are writing that page information, and it will go to the post part. Now from here, then we have our post part starting. Till this it was get. Now we have post. So on post, what we are doing, we are getting the context.request, the context.response, which we have written on the form. We are getting it as a request on the post part. On request, we have request dot. So whatever fields we have created here on the post part, it will act like parameters. So how we achieve the field values. Let's say what you add here in the recipient email or in the subject field. So how we capture it as request.parameters.subject. That was the name of the field. I mean ID, not name. The ID of the field, right? Subject, or maybe the variable. You consider this variable name. So request.parameter.subject will give us the field value for subject. Similarly, recipient and message. We retrieved all three, and then we used this email.send API by passing all three values here: recipient, subject, and message. The author or which is like sender is nothing but the user who is accessing the form. So through that user employee ID or user ID, we are sending that email. So we get it as runtime.getCurrentUser.id. Yeah. So now this is the script deployment. Like I've created the script and deployment here. Okay. Now what happens is script creation is same. In terms of deployment, you don't have to deploy it on a particular record because it is a Sweetlet. Sweetlet is not record specific, right? So we are basically creating a new custom form and page. So in terms of deployment, you just select the status as released, log label as debug, and execute the role as administrator. Okay. As soon as you save it, you will have a URL generated here, which is nothing but the Sweetlate URL. I think we were discussing few sessions back that the problem you had, and I suggested that we can have a Sweetlate
Yep.
created to replicate the same form, and if needed, we can make it available without login. So that option is here. We have this checkbox.
Okay.
If you check this checkbox, it will be available directly without any login. So anybody who has this URL can access it without logging into Netsuite.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. Now, I got this URL here. Now, if I click on this URL, you will see the form has opened. So where you have subject, we had three fields: subject, recipient, email, and message. Out of which subject and recipient email, these two fields we made it as mandatory. So you see the star symbol here. So what happens is, if you enter something here, let's say xyz@gmail.com, and put some test message. This is our test email. And when you click on send, it will send an email.
So the URL, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can this be called from a different web page where
Yes.
there is
So
a button?
yeah,
You
that
click on
is
the button, execute that
correct.
URL.
Correct. So that is what I was coming to here. You can add it into any section. Let's say if I add it to advanced, let's put it on classic center. Now we have all these sections here. I'll put it under transactions. Category, I will under transactions. Let me put it under sales. And then I'll call it as email information page. Okay. And then I add it here and I save it. Now, if you go to transaction sales, you see the last thing, email information page.
Yeah, but this is on the NetSuite side. But if we have to have on a different web page, totally not a NetSuite web page, on that
no, that is
from a company.
No, that is not something which is doable. So you can call it like you'll have the same URL only. You'll have this NetSuite piece added in the starting. So the actual URL, if you want to call it, will become something like this. You have this entire piece, and then this one. So let me put it somewhere here. Not this. Let me maybe put it here. So you have this. This is an instance NetSuite instance name .app.netsuite.com. That's the generic NetSuite URL. And then you have this is the remaining URL. So you have app, site, hosting, scriptlet, and then script. This is your script ID, and this is your deployment ID. So this becomes the complete URL.
Okay. So now this can be called from any external.
Yes, this can be called from any external system, considering if the person has an access, or I mean, again, the same thing. If you call it from an external system, you'll have to log into Netsuite because it is not made available without login. But if you make it available without login, then it can be called directly, and person can access this page without logging into Netsuite.
Okay. Okay.
You see there? I made it as available without login, and you got this external URL coming. So this is the URL which has to be, which you can share with anybody, and they can access it directly.
Okay. So with the external ID, external URL.
With the external URL, yeah, that is the external URL, because we are making it available without login.
Right.
But considering Netsuite, I mean, until unless you have a valid business reason, I don't think anybody will enable that, because Netsuite is anyways yeah, anybody's like any company's financial system, right? So data privacy is a concern.
Correct. But then, as we spoke, right?
Yeah, the
Just use
requirement
of
which you mentioned, right? In that case, it is valid. You can make it
correct,
available without login.
right. But we'll do some validation also with the user ID or something. We first key in the user ID, then only you know.
Then we don't have to make it available without login. As we just provide this direct URL. They click on this URL, and then
Mhm.
it'll ask for them to enter username and password, and then it'll come to this page.
Yeah. Oh, so okay,
Hmm.
we can do the login information, right? Then
Yes.
okay.
Cool. So this is how a Sweetlate work.